They thought they could bully a school bus driver, scream at him, threaten him, humiliate him in front of children, and then just walk away. What they didn't realize, they had just made the worst mistake of their lives, because the man they crossed worked under my dad. And my dad doesn't let things slide. If you've ever seen someone abuse power or treat innocent people like garbage, then you're gonna love this story. Hit like, subscribe, and get ready, because this one ends with jail time, public humiliation, and the kind of karma you only see in movies. So, to understand why this story hits so hard, you need to understand my dad. He's not just some random administrator. He's a high school assistant principal, but not the kind who hides in his office pushing paperwork. No, he's the kind who's seen everything. Before this year, he worked at a school that was, honestly, chaos. Overcrowded classrooms, constant fights, drugs circulating like it was normal, kids getting suspended almost daily, and every single time something went wrong, he was the one dealing with it, breaking up fights, calling parents, handling kids who had already given up on themselves. That kind of environment, it hardens you. It teaches you one thing very quickly. If you don't enforce consequences, people walk all over you. But this year was different. He transferred to a new school, cleaner, safer, better funded, students who actually cared, at least most of them. In fact, for almost the entire year, there were only 2 real incidents, one involving a student having a severe episode, and the other, the one I'm about to tell you. It started with something small. It always does. A school bus. A normal afternoon, kids heading home. The driver, just a regular guy doing his job. Tired, probably underpaid, but still showing up every day to safely get dozens of kids home. And then there was her. Let's call her the entitled girl. Junior in high school, the kind of student who thinks rules are suggestions. You know the type. Rolling her eyes when corrected, talking back, acting like the world owes her something. Now, no one knows exactly what happened first. Maybe the driver accidentally bumped into her while she was getting off. Maybe she said something disrespectful and he called her out. But whatever it was enough to trigger her. And instead of letting it go like a normal person, she did what entitled people do best. She escalated. She pulled out her phone and texted her mom. Now pause for a second. Think about that. Instead of handling a minor disagreement, she called in backup. And not just any backup, her mother. The kind of parent who doesn't ask questions first. The kind who assumes their child is always right. The kind who turns small issues into full-blown chaos. So when the bus stopped at her house, her mom was already outside, waiting, angry, ready. The driver opens the door, expecting a normal drop-off. Instead, he's met with shouting, loud, aggressive, unhinged. "What did you say to my daughter? Who do you think you are? You don't talk to her like that." The kind of yelling that makes everyone uncomfortable. The kind that makes kids on the bus go completely silent. Now imagine being that driver. You're sitting there, trapped in your seat, responsible for a bus full of children, and an adult is screaming at you like you're nothing. He didn't argue, didn't escalate. He just drove away. Because sometimes the smartest move is walking away from crazy. If the story ended there, it would have just been another bad interaction. But entitled people, they don't stop. They double down. The next morning, the bus driver pulls up to the same house. Same time, same routine. But something feels off. The girl isn't outside. Instead, 3 people are standing there. Her mom, her older brother, and her older sister. All adults, already waiting. And the moment the bus stops, everything goes wrong. The doors open, and instead of asking a simple question like normal people, they step onto the bus, one by one. The air changes instantly. The kids go quiet. You could probably hear a pin drop. And then they explode. Screaming. Not talking, not discussing. Screaming. "You think you can disrespect her? Who the hell do you think you are? You're lucky nothing worse happens to you." Threats, insults, slurs, just non-stop verbal assault. And here's the worst part. This wasn't happening in private. This was happening in front of a bus full of children. Kids sitting there, frozen, some scared, some confused, some probably thinking, "Is this really happening right now?" The driver, he couldn't leave. He couldn't fight back. He was stuck, trapped behind that wheel while 3 grown adults unleashed everything on him. And in that moment, something crossed a line. Not just disrespect, not just anger. This became intimidation, harassment, a threat. And they didn't care. Because people like that, they think they're untouchable. Eventually, they got off the bus. Still yelling, still throwing insults as they stepped away, and the second those doors closed, the driver didn't wait. He hit the gas, got those kids to school as fast as he could, hands probably shaking, heart racing, trying to process what just happened. But here's the thing. There was one detail, one small thing that changed everything. They forgot about the cameras. Not 1, not 2, 4 HD cameras with audio recording everything, every threat, every insult, every second. And they had just handed over all the evidence on a silver platter. The driver didn't go home, didn't brush it off, didn't pretend it was just part of the job. He went straight to the front office, straight to my dad. And when my dad heard what happened, he didn't get annoyed. He didn't sigh. He didn't downplay it. He got angry. The kind of quiet anger that means someone is about to regret everything. He pulled the footage, watched it, every second, every word, and by the time it ended, there was no hesitation, no doubt, no, let's wait and see. He picked up the phone and called the school cop. Because at that point, this wasn't just a school issue anymore. This was criminal. And those 3, they had no idea that the moment they stepped onto that bus, they had just triggered a chain of events that would end with arrests, courtrooms, and one of the most satisfying cases of karma you'll ever hear. 3 adults stormed a school bus, screamed threats at a defenseless driver, and terrified a bus full of kids. What they didn't know? Every second was recorded, and my dad had just decided they were going to pay for it. The moment my dad hung up the phone with the school cop, things moved fast, really fast, because when you cross a line like that, when you threaten someone in front of children, this isn't discipline anymore. This is criminal behavior. Within hours, officers were already involved, statements were being prepared, and that footage was being treated like gold. Now imagine being that entitled mom. You wake up thinking you stood up for your kid, maybe even feeling proud of yourself. And then suddenly, there's a knock at your door. Not a neighbor, not a friend, the police. Reality doesn't hit all at once. It creeps in. Confusion first, then denial. Then that slow sinking feeling in your chest when you realize this isn't going away. From what I was told, she didn't go quietly. People like that never do. She argued, raised her voice, tried to twist the story. "This is ridiculous. He started it. I was protecting my daughter." But here's the thing about reality. It doesn't care about your version of the story. Not when there's video, not when there's audio, not when there are dozens of witnesses. The officers didn't debate, didn't entertain excuses. They did their job. And just like that, the same woman who had been screaming at a bus driver was now being placed in handcuffs, in front of her own home, in front of her family, and probably in front of neighbors watching through their windows. That's the first crack in the illusion. The moment someone like that realizes they are not in control anymore. Now here's where my dad comes in. Because yes, the legal system was already doing its thing, but my dad, he wasn't done. Not even close. See, he doesn't believe in loud revenge. He believes in precise, calculated consequences. The kind that hit harder because they're justified. The kind you can't argue with. So first, he protected the bus driver. The girl, immediately reassigned to a different bus route. No more contact, no more chances, no more risk. Then, he escalated further. The mother, the brother, the sister, all three of them permanently banned from school grounds. No exceptions. No, we just want to talk. No, we need to attend something. Nothing. That door was closed forever. And if they tried to come back, it wouldn't be a warning. It would be another arrest. Then came something unexpected. Something that showed just how seriously he took this. He gave the bus driver a full month of paid time off. Think about that. A man who had just been threatened and humiliated was told, take time, recover, we've got you. That's not just policy, that's respect, that's leadership. And that's the moment this stopped being just revenge and started becoming justice. But my dad wasn't done, because he knew something important. A strong case isn't built on emotion, it's built on evidence. So working with the school system's lawyer, they started gathering statements, one by one, students from the bus, kids who had seen everything. He didn't pressure them, didn't lead them, just asked one simple thing, tell the truth. And what came out was powerful. Kids describing how scared they felt, how the shouting didn't stop, how they thought something worse might happen. And suddenly, this wasn't just about a bus driver anymore. This was about endangering children. That changes everything, because courts take that seriously, very seriously. At this point, the lawyer made a strategic decision. They weren't going to charge everyone. They focused on the two worst offenders, the mother and the brother. And here's where it gets interesting. The brother? He wasn't clean, not even close. He was already in the middle of a 6-month probation for a completely separate crime, which means he wasn't just in trouble, he was already on thin ice. Fast forward a few weeks. Court day. The kind of place where reality finally catches up to people. My dad was there. His principal was there. Even the school cop showed up. Not because they had to speak, but because they wanted to see it through. Because when you stand up for someone, you don't disappear halfway. Now, going into this, everyone expected a light sentence. Maybe a fine, maybe a few days in jail. Nothing major. After all, people like that often walk away with a slap on the wrist. The lawyer presented the case. Clear, clean, unshakable. Multiple witness statements, official reports, everything lined up perfectly. And the defense? They didn't even try to win. They couldn't. Instead, they did what defense lawyers do in hopeless cases. They asked for mercy, reduced sentence, leniency, second chances. But then the judge spoke, and everything changed. He didn't rush, didn't hesitate. He looked directly at the entitled mother and made something very clear. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This wasn't just bad behavior. This was intimidation. This was harassment. This was endangering children. And all of it over something completely unnecessary. Then came the sentence. Not a fine, not a warning. 30 days in jail. Right there. You could probably feel the air shift in the courtroom. Shock. Silence. That moment where reality hits like a brick. Because she didn't expect that. People like her never do. My dad? He later said it took everything in him not to smile. But somehow, that wasn't even the best part. Because remember the brother? The one already on probation? The one who was supposed to be in court next? Yeah, he didn't show up. He skipped his trial completely. No excuse, no explanation. Just didn't come. And in that moment, he made the worst decision of his life. The judge didn't argue, didn't delay, didn't give him another chance. Bench warrant. immediately issued. He was arrested the very next day. Where? At his mom's house, of course. And when he was brought back into court, there was no mercy left. Breaking probation, skipping trial, same charges as before. The result? 1 full year in prison. Just like that, from yelling on a bus to losing an entire year of his life. As for the rest, the entitled girl, she switched schools, quietly disappeared from the situation. No dramatic exit, just gone. And honestly, probably for the best, because some reputations don't recover. The family that once screamed at a bus driver now had something much louder attached to their name: consequences, real ones. At the end of the day, this story isn't just about revenge. It's about something deeper. The moment people realize they're not above the rules, that actions have weight, and that sometimes karma doesn't take years. Sometimes it shows up the very next day. If this story satisfied that part of your brain that loves seeing justice served, hit that like button. Subscribe for more real, intense stories like this. And tell me in the comments, what's the fastest karma you've ever seen? Because this one is going to be hard to beat.